absolutely jam-packed show tonight, so let's get straight into it. We're going to start with Liverpool and Andy Robertson to Spurs. Mark, could that happen?
Well, after that introduction, I don't know if anyone wants to listen to me and Carve. Big breaking news today in the Premier League. And, of course, it contains two of the big hitters, really, Tottenham and Liverpool, and a very vastly experienced Andy Robertson, who has been sensational for Liverpool. He's won the lot, hasn't he? And he's been such an influential player, both on and off the pitch at Anfield for a number of years. But the big news is he's into the last 6 months of his contract. And when players enter the final phases of a deal, there are other teams that think, can we sniff out a bargain? Considering the lack of game time. Just 4 Premier League starts this season, just 4 starts in the Champions League. And Sky Sports News understands that Spurs' approach over the course of the last 24 to 48 hours is a tentative one. But they have expressed an interest and asked, what is any potential deal for Andy Robertson looking like?
Because he did say he needs to make a decision, didn't he?
Of course, and he knows that perhaps his time at Liverpool is coming to an end. Is it now time to move on and explore the other opportunities? He could, of course, sign a pre-contract agreement with anyone else outside the Premier League at the moment. So he can sign a deal with a La Liga side or a Serie A side. We know that last summer, Atletico Madrid showed a real and genuine interest in Andy Robertson. In terms of these talks with Spurs, there's no formal offer or formal outcome. It was just preliminary talks. They were just very early stage talks to find out what a potential deal may look like. And I think the important thing to point out with this situation is Liverpool will very much put the onus on Andy Robertson to make a decision. If Andy Robertson turns around to the hierarchy at Liverpool and says, look, thank you for everything. I've been here since 2017. The fans would probably say, pound for pound, one of the best ever signings they've made in the modern era. He's been absolutely sensational. If he says to them, look, I would like to explore this opportunity to join Spurs, Liverpool would respect what he has done for the club, the type of character and personality he is in that dressing room, and say, OK, we will try and facilitate the right move for you. We need to look after ourselves, but we will try and do what's right for you as a player of this football club.
Well, he's earned the right, hasn't he?
And he's earned the right to do that. So I think the decision will be about game time. He'll probably say to Arne Slot, Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, how much game time am I really going to get between now and the end of the season? And if the answer isn't considerable, he'll say, well, I could probably go and play week in, week out for Spurs. And for me right now, a longer term contract and regular football is what I need.
So, Carve, if Spurs were to get him, as well as Conor Gallagher and Sosa, would that be a really good window for Tottenham?
I don't think it'd be really good. I think it'd be a pretty good window, but there are other parts of their squad they need to strengthen as well. I think Andy Robertson could be something very, very special for Spurs. I think if he moves, it could be a really good deal for Spurs. It could be a good deal for the player. It could be a good deal for Scotland as well, with the World Cup coming up. I'm not so sure it'll be a good deal for Liverpool because they do have injury problems at the back as well. But what Spurs need is somebody the crowd can connect with. There have been some issues, well-documented issues, between some of the players and the Spurs fans this season. And Andy Robertson is the kind of player that fans can really connect with at his best. And I echo what Mark said. He is arguably one of the greatest transfers of all time. Liverpool signed him for, I think, £8 million from Hull City. He has won the lot, and he leads by example. He's a fantastic character, fantastic personality. He has leadership qualities. That's why he's captain of Scotland as well. So I think potentially if this deal happens, it could be a fantastic deal for Spurs, but I still think they need more, much more.
OK, so what about the Liverpool side of things? Well, Arne Slot has spoken today about their transfer business.
And if you talk about Milos and a lot of signings we've made, you can see the progression they are making in terms of adjustment to the team, but definitely also in power. I think a few times I've played Robbo during the week, but Milos is getting stronger and stronger and stronger in my opinion. If you look at the age of our signings, they will not only be better the second half of the season, they will be better next season, and they will be better that season afterwards and that season afterwards. That is also the way this club is run. We sign young players where we think there is a lot of room for development, although they are already really good.
OK, so he's saying all that money they spent is beginning to come to fruition. But if they do let Robertson go, will they replace him, Mark?
They certainly would look to replace him. Of course, they wouldn't want to go into the second phase of a season with only Milos Kerkez at left back, because that would leave them short if there were to be any injuries. I think the fact of this Andy Robertson news has been softened by Milos Kerkez's recent form. He's really started to develop into the player that Liverpool invested £40 million in. He was sensational at Bournemouth, but he's taken a little bit of time to adjust to life at Liverpool. But over the last few games, you're really starting to see his quality, particularly getting forward. Would they like to replace Andy Robertson if a deal were to be agreed with Spurs? Yes. I think the most likely outcome would be Tsimikas returning to the football club.
Really?
He's in a really similar situation to Andy Robertson, because game time has been limited at Roma. 4 league starts, 4 starts in the Europa League, so he really hasn't played a great deal of games, and he is loved by the Liverpool fans. And it feels like this is something we've spoken a lot about in this transfer window. Players that can walk in to a dressing room or to a league and play on day one. No adaptation, doesn't need to learn the language, understands where the training ground is, the philosophy of the football club, the dressing room, the characters, the dynamic of the Premier League. And Tsimikas does all those things. He ticks all those boxes. And therefore, so actually it would be almost a no-brainer. Roma, according to Sky in Italy, would be open to potentially allowing him to go back to Liverpool. So therefore, that would be the most likely course of action should a deal for Andy Robertson get agreed.
Right, I gather we've got breaking news about Tammy Abraham. Do you guys know it?
Yes, Tammy Abraham is due to have his Aston Villa medical tomorrow. He's flying in from Turkey today to complete his move from Besiktas. Now, the deal with Besiktas is worth around £18 million plus add-ons. We also believe there's a young player who Villa signed, a young Turkish centre-back called Yasin Özkan, who's out on loan at Anderlecht at the moment. Villa signed him I think around 18 months ago or a year ago for around £6 million. He's going to Besiktas as part of the deal as well. But Aston Villa have been looking for a new forward. They're interested in Jean-Philippe Mateta at Crystal Palace as well. But Tammy Abraham is somebody who's done really, really well at Villa Park before when he was on loan there from Chelsea. And all being well, he should be an Aston Villa player pretty soon.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. But Mark, I thought Villa had money issues, PSR, FFP issues. Do they not if they're bringing players in?
I think Aston Villa's situation is quite fluid. They have to be quite careful with what they do, and they have to be conscious of what they spend, because being in Europe means you have to satisfy 2 sets of financial rules. You have to satisfy the PSR rules for the Premier League and the FFP rules for UEFA. One of the things about Aston Villa's accounts is they've actually been quite clever with the money they've spent and the loans they've done and the option prices they have on a number of players. But their turnover has significantly increased by playing Champions League football. For example, at the end of the 2024 financial year, their turnover was around £181 million. In 2025, it had risen to £200